Welcome to Team G503. I am your host, Scott Schiller, and in these next few series of videos, I'm going to be showing you how to disassemble the electrical system on a 1943 Willys MB. I'm going to start out with the switches and move into some of the wiring, and we're going to have to do these in more than one video because it is quite a lengthy process, and I want to document everything as best as I can to show it to you. So without further ado, let's dig into it. Going to be removing the main light switch and the blackout light switch, and to remove these you're going to have to come underneath the underneath side here, and you will see a little set screw on the actual knob. The set screw is located right at the bottom side of the knob. You'll see this bolt here that holds on the cone, and it's the same thing on the bottom side of the blackout light. I'm going to take a small flathead screwdriver, come underneath here, loosen up that set screw, and then I'll be able to unscrew the actual knob. Now you can see that set screw. I'll tighten that up a little bit because I don't want to lose that, have that fall out on me. I'm going to remove this bolt that goes through the bottom side of this nose housing. You don't want to be losing this bolt. If you see, it's got a special little pin in the end here, and after I remove this, I'll show you why. This now will just slide off. This nut on the outside of the switch has to be removed, so I'm going to reach underneath the dash and hold the actual switch unit so I can take this nut off. Then we should be able to pull this out from the back of the dashboard. There was a washer on the back side of that nut I removed. And now we can look down in here. I've removed the main light switch from underneath the dash, and you can see there's quite a bit of wires that are connected to that. And somebody's rewired this before. You see their old labels, and that's a great idea. I can still read some of them. And we'll have to go and disconnect each one of those. We're going to be using a completely new wiring harness from Ron Fitzpatrick Jeep Parts. However, I like to keep the old harness just to compare with, and you can go back and make sure, and I've taken a photograph of this, and I've actually drawn myself my own personal diagram before I start taking any of these wires off. Again, somebody has wired this before, but you can see it's all cracked and old. So I can actually make out what most of these are, but you can take a piece of tape, and as you remove each wire, you can go back through the firewall, and you can label where they go to the junction block. That way you've got a reference when you get your new harness. On this terminal, this wire is for the panel lights. And if you remember in the previous video I took those off, there's the connector for that. I don't believe that this wiring is 100% correct. I believe it's been changed. I'm just going to go through each terminal and systematically remove each wire and tighten the screw in the terminal back down. Don't want it falling out and losing anything. Just going through piece by piece and labeling everything as I go. These top two terminals here, just simply 3/8 inch nuts. Be gentle. Replace your nuts and your fasteners as you go, and you'll be thanking yourself later. The main switch and circuit breaker are removed. On the main light switch and circuit breaker that I removed, as you remember, I've got the set screw there and I still haven't tightened that, but I talked about that special bolt with the pin and why that would pertain. You got your cone here, and there's the bolt, and it's got a lock washer underneath it, a star washer. And there's our pin again. This cone slides over this special nut with the recessed lip on it here, and that would connect through your dashboard. and then this cone would go over the top. You have to depress that button there to get it to slide on. And then that little pin sits behind that recess to hold that cone on. The blackout switch would be pretty easy to remove. It's the same situation as I showed you in the first part of this. There's a set screw underneath here that we've got to remove. Once you've got that loose, again, you can spin the knob right off. You've got this nut that actually holds the switch into the dashboard. We'll loosen that. Reaching under the dash and just holding the unit. This ignition switch with the key is not original to the 1943 Willys MB. This has been redone. It's all set up for a key, and there's wiring that goes through the firewall into a solenoid which actuates the starter. And we're not going to be using this. We're going to put this back the way it should have been back in 1943. So to remove this, I'll simply reach under the dash and hold the body of the unit. Get Big Henry, my crescent wrench, out here. Spin that off and pull it underneath the dash, and you can see the wiring on the back side of it. As you can see on this high-low beam switch, the terminals are actually permanently affixed or riveted into the side. So we'll have to go inside the tub on the floor and remove the high-low switch. To remove this floor switch, I have to undo these screws and these screws on this cover, and they were all painted up and covered with some sort of floor covering or rubberized undercoating. So I had to clean them off with the wire wheel, but they should be pretty easy to take out now. So I've got all the fasteners removed, and I'll remove this cover, and I should be able to wiggle this out through the front side of the firewall. Maybe. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. You can follow along what we're doing in the restoration of this 1943 Willys MB and Team G503 on YouTube. We've been getting quite a few subscribers lately, and that is awesome and fantastic. Actually, can't believe how fast it's been growing. I'm really impressed. In the next video, we'll be taking apart some of the wiring, and I'll show you more about that. Until then, keep it safe and happy Jeeping.